All right, welcome back to the show. I'm Collin McKee. Today we're tackling one of the most important questions in venture capital right now. What is the hidden cost of overlooking early stage AI adoption? To explore this, I'm joined by Timothy Anikin, managing partner of PSALION, a firm known for its institutional grade investing across digital assets and emerging venture opportunities. So as AI reshapes industries at breakneck speed, VCs face a strategic challenge, investing early and adopting early. Today, we're going to explore how Timothy views AI adoption, what it means for his firm and for his portfolio of companies, and why ignoring this can be far riskier than people think. Timothy, thank you for joining us. Before we jump in, could you give us
Sure, my
a
pleasure.
little snapshot of PSALION and its investing philosophy?
Yeah, PSALION, I started with two friends of mine, two French friends of mine, uh, 6 years ago now. We're on our third vintage VC, and we have another business line that does what's called in the crypto space yield farming, but it's basically allocation to liquidity pools, just that's done in the traditional finance space. And we've got about $250 million in that, and then getting to a couple hundred million on the VC side. So fairly new, not huge, not tiny anymore either. And the VC space is very interesting because, with respect to AI, because you really have to understand whether it's a superficial application, a name drop, or something substantive really going on.
Sure. So, from your vantage point, how is AI reshaping venture capitalists or the
Well,
space and the landscape?
there's some AI that you're actually using within VC, right? Because VC is just another business, right? So you can use it to optimize some internal processes and things. But I think the focus of your question is on the outside. So when you're looking at investee companies, how does AI affect that? Is that do I correctly
Sure.
understand what
Yeah.
you're looking
Yeah.
at? Okay. And I think there are two aspects of it. One I alluded to is, hey, is there really AI in this project? There are so many. You saw this with crypto a while ago. You saw it with the internet 20 years ago, right? Whatever the flavor of the month is in terms of investing, and you see it where people added blockchain to their stock price, to their stock name or their ticker symbol or something, and it went up 300%, and nothing had changed from yesterday to today. So you have a lot of that in VC, just a tremendous amount. There's startups. It's actually easy for them to superficially add AI because they haven't built anything yet, or they built very little, and so it's not really so much a pivot as a global search and replace in their documents. So the first thing you have to understand is, hey, is there really AI here, or is it just something they're doing to try to raise money? And I would guess at least half the cases, it's actually the latter. They're just throwing in some AI to try to raise money. And related to that is the fact that AI is actually quickly spreading around to a lot of things. There is AI that you're just going to use in your project or in your new company that any company would use in that respect. You're using AI to optimize CRM, or you're using AI to generate email, whatever you're doing. So yes, you are using AI in the project, but to borrow a phrase, it's a distinction without a difference. It doesn't matter because that functionality, say some accounting issues, everyone is using them for AI. So that
Right.
doesn't lead to a USP, to a unique selling proposition. So it actually gets even harder to figure out, is AI something that fundamentally makes a difference? There a really good example, though, the second kind is AI really, really built in. And a really good example is our second vintage invested in a search engine. And it's like, oh God, another search engine. Who needs that? But these guys have actually built the first post AI search engine. And I don't want to go in a lot of detail on it, but just to summarize real quickly, Google and everybody else out there, they've indexed all the web pages in the world. And then you have a search, it gets vectorized if you're using AI, and then you apply the vectors to the web pages that have been indexed, and you try to match those two results. What these guys are doing, a company called Presearch, what these guys are doing is they're vectorizing the pages as they crawl them, as they index them. And so on the search, you're matching vector to vector. So whether you think that's a great use case or not, we liked it. It is a fundamental change, not applying vector to words, but applying vector to vector. That should give you new and better, in this case, search results. But it's the same thing. If some company, some project is touting AI, are they really using it? And so, okay, yeah, maybe they are using it in some ways, but are they using it in a way that really constitutes a USP, a unique selling proposition? And that's harder and harder to find now because AI is itself very, very young. Nobody knows how to monetize effectively AI. People are putting hundreds of billions, now trillions of dollars into AI. But if you look at ideas and look at what happened in the stock market a couple of weeks ago, where hey, this is really turning into a circle jerk, pardon the expression. But you've got the manufacturers, promising hardware, to say OpenAI. OpenAI is getting other resources, so it's getting energy or it's getting rack space from Microsoft, and Microsoft is in turn investing in Nvidia or whatever the particular circle is. Where is the new money coming from? We've got the same money effectively cycling around here. And most people believe, and I'm one of them, that on a retail basis, but probably on a institutional basis, on a ERP basis, right? So other companies are going to really start using and paying for AI to optimize their processes. Okay, the business will probably grow into these valuations. But we've rarely seen a business like AI just in general, where except for companies that are selling hardware, there is so little revenue today that has to grow tremendously to grow into the valuations we're seeing today. And it's the same thing in startups. So it gets really more and more complex to determine, okay, they're using AI, but is it really adding value?
Right. So the question I intended to ask is, are people ignoring early stage? But I think it's more, are they misusing AI at an early stage? Is what you're kind of expressing.
It's
They're
not misusing AI. It's misusing. Sorry, I'm trying to find a place to see there so I can get some of this light because the window behind me. There we go. It's more. It's not misusing AI itself. It's misusing the label AI to raise funds, or misusing the label AI to try to claim a USP that either is not there at all, or my favorite line about USP is, "Hey, it's an SP, but it's not a U." Is it really unique, right? Is it
yeah,
really something that matters? And because there is so much, because the AI world is still so dynamic, and monetization in AI is still very much an open question. Everybody's convinced it's going to happen. I agree it's going to happen.
hmm
But at the moment, it's not entirely clear how it's going to happen, what the price levels are going to be, who in the AI supply chain is going to benefit most. There's some really fundamental questions that have not yet been answered. But the tech is so bloody amazing. Everybody knows it's going to be used extensively. It's going to be used every place. How are we going to monetize on it? We'll figure that out later. But if you have a startup that's grabbing just a little niche in all of that, is that going to be the niche that's going to benefit? That's less clear.
yep. Great insights. So within Salion, I'm sure you're using AI, and you have been for a time. How early was that adoption? Has that been in the last year or two? What sort of, what is that helping you? Obviously, the financial aspects is a no-brainer, right? In accounting, if you're not using it, you're really wasting. You're
Right.
back in the abacus days. But what other sort of tools are is Salion using to help just to be most efficient?
As I mentioned at the outset, we've launched a fundraise, I guess about 2.5 months ago, for our third vintage fund. And so we're, going all over the place, going various cities globally, did a tour in Europe, tour in Asia. East Coast of the U.S. And the easiest application for us of AI, because every new tech has a learning curve, was the CRM for that fundraising process. It really, really streamlines. It takes a lot of the grunt work out of the process. We don't use it. We're not retail. We're very much wholesale. So there not everything we do has to be done at a massive scale. And then
Hmm.
there are other things that, because particularly we have this liquidity provision side, the yield side, we really we don't want to be too automated, because if you don't air gap certain aspects of the process, you create a security problem. And one of the
Hmm.
unfortunate but inevitable uses of AI is for criminal activities, for scams and phishing. And I'm sure everybody, you and everyone who's watching this, I certainly have been. Man, the letters, the email chains that go back involving tens of people going back months. And the first couple of these, I got, I said, wow, this is amazing. How did they do that? And the answer is they didn't do that. They just plugged it into an AI, and the AI generated this. It gets really convincing. It's frighteningly good. So we deliberately air gap a number of things just from security, so we don't lose anybody's money. That has actually gone really well. We've never had an issue. But from the internal workings in the VC, don't have a huge number of people, and for us, we're not retail at all. So we've used it. It's certainly enhanced our efficiency, but it hasn't resulted in any major changes in what we're doing. Now, though, what's about to change, I'm not sure this will be major or not, is to identify projects. And that is something that, since our second vintage is fully invested and we're just launching the third, for the last year, we've been looking around for other projects, other good investee companies. And what we've discovered is AI is really helpful to some degree in identifying them. I mean, there are projects all over there, but for the due diligence, for finding out whether something's viable, for digging in the backgrounds of the people that are involved in the project, nothing beats AI. It's just incredible.
Yep. And that leads into, my next question. When you're evaluating a company and their processes, have you uncovered places where, there's immediate need that could reduce costs, that can improve decision making, accelerate the growth of the portfolio company that you're evaluating?
We have, but because we're PE or VC, not PE, so the difference being VC is very, very early, and there's not like an official borderline where you cross from VC into PE. But PE it's called private equity because the idea is, hey, we're going to take it public later. That's the etymology of it. The world has evolved beyond that because IPOs have become so rare. But VC is really early, and in some cases, it's little more than a couple people and an idea. There aren't massive changes to make to many systems because there aren't a lot of systems. But what we do find is that when you look at their growth path, design where they're going to end up, a lot of projects say they've been in the conceptual stage a year ago or a year and a half ago or something, pre the real AI boom. They really have to rethink certain processes, and sometimes totally redo sometimes totally eliminate certain processes, which is nice. But you have to take the capabilities of AI into consideration, and not everybody has done that. Particularly the startups, the teams have a tendency to be younger. There are lots of exceptions, but they have a tendency to be younger, less experienced, and that's both good and bad. On the one hand, they don't have any bad, call it pre-AI habits, but on the other hand, they actually generally don't really know what best-in-class services are at any given time. And today, best-in-class services are becoming more and more AI-centric. And so there's a lot of coaching and helping out, probably no more than was the case before, but our assistance has become different because of AI. In many cases, it's just helping people helping companies, helping projects climb the AI learning curve. Because when they had the initial brainstorm, right? The light bulb went off. AI didn't play such a big role as it does today.
Right. So is it even like cleaning, wiping the whiteboard clean for, keep your idea, but your process needs to be all kind of revamped with AI because if not, your growth curve isn't going to be steep enough? Is that
Yeah,
uh,
I think that probably overstates it a bit. I mean, you have your inputs in your project. They have the black box, whatever you do, and then you have your outputs. And basically, what you're saying is, okay, everything in the black box we're going to erase. It's not so much that you still have. Remember the charts you do with the diamond? That's decision, yes, no, and all the other stuff. That fundamental that chart stays the same.
it's the same?
That's
Right.
still what you want to accomplish. You still have to get from point A to point B. How you do that can be radically different with AI. It will always be different in some ways with AI, but in almost every case, you still need to get from point A to point B. There are exceptions. I mean, there are companies where I'm trying to think of one right off the top of my head where it's like, hey, you're going to be replaced by AI. AI is going to take you all the way from point A to point B. We don't need you anymore. I deal a lot in the blockchain space. And as I tell people in the Venn diagram of life, there is overlap certainly between blockchain and AI, but there's not as much at this stage as you might think, and certainly not as much as people might claim. But there certainly is some. So you don't erase the whiteboard, but you probably have to go to call it a higher altitude. Step back from it, redesign a lot of the lower and mid-level stuff with AI, and occasionally some of the higher level stuff, and then drill down and build your system again. It's still, I would call it for most businesses, evolutionary, not revolutionary. It's important, it's a large change, but for most internal processing of most businesses, I would not call it revolutionary.
Great. I think that answers my next question, which was the main risks of people having the wrong or having misconceptions about AI, and that spoke a little bit to it. Anything further that you would add?
Oh,
People that
very, very definitely. There is a massive risk with AI, and that is it's still often wrong. The best anecdote about this was it's almost 2 years ago now. There was an attorney in New York who was looking for some cases to support his case, and he went to AI and he had 7 different cases that were to varying degrees on point. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. And so he put them all on his brief and submitted to the court, and damn near got disbarred because not one of those cases really exists. And it's an extreme case, but AI doesn't mean you can just stop doing your job. You still have to check, you still have to verify, you still have to have checks and balances, if you will, in your company to make sure things are accurate. If you have AI that starts automatically approving the payment of invoices, right? And there have also been examples where this, hey, you know what the AI is looking for. It's just a door to open door to fraud, waste, and abuse, right? Absolutely. You still need the checks and balances. So AI is still a tool. It still has to be monitored. And you can actually have AI nowadays check AI, which you may think, okay, if you can undermine one, you can undermine the other.
true.
Theoretically, sure. But if you have 2 different AI systems that are run, say, off of different computers, and one is looking over the shoulder, if you will, of the other, that's actually remarkably effective. But there are too many people that say, "Oh, it's a panacea, right? The magic bullet. This is what we don't have to follow. We don't have to pay attention anymore. It'll do everything for us." Not sorry, not there yet.
So if you were advising a fellow VC firm about what they should start doing or stop doing with AI today to be on the right side of it, what might you advise them?
Again, focusing on investee companies, especially now, I would say verify everything and test everything. The one of the principles I've always followed is someone tells you, hey, we have these 10 clients. Okay, give me contact information for the top 3 or 4, and I reach out to them and talk to them. First of all, to make sure they exist, but secondly, to get their insights. With AI, if it's telling you something, check it, double check it, because the information will be valuable, but it's simply another input, a really good input, but among many other inputs. So don't blindly accept what AI is telling you directly about a company, or perhaps even more importantly, what a company is telling you that AI does for them. Touch it, taste it, feel it, check it. It becomes more important because how can I describe it? I don't want to insult anybody, but AI can make us all lazy. It provides really easy answers. That doesn't mean they're correct answers. They're really easy answers. And so don't suspend your good sense. I tell people a lot of times that when I'm talking about the difference between TradFi and digital assets, don't take your knowledge, experience, and wisdom, right? So your knowledge, whatever formal training, experience on the job, and wisdom, the lessons that you learned from all of that work. Don't take your knowledge, experience, and wisdom and suspend it because, oh, digital assets are different from traditional assets. They're not. They're not different. They're just, in most cases, a very logical extension of it. AI is the same way. AI is a decision-making tool. AI is, call it the modern version of the spreadsheet, right? You talked about an abacus when people were writing stuff down and doing stuff on calculators. I mean, heck, I still remember in high school that I learned one semester or something. I actually learned to use a slide rule. Then I went to university and I took programming classes, and we were the last group after this first semester. My first semester, we had punch cards. You had this long row of all these cards, stuff them in the feeder. It was, God, talk about a cumbersome system. But we actually still use those. And hey, my hair is gray, but it's this is modern world. This is still dealing with computers. So the changes that you have are insane, but the fundamental principles and human nature have not changed. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Yes, AI makes things easier, but the things are the same. So don't abdicate your duty. Don't think, okay, the due diligence is done because AI told me it's okay. You need to stick with the first principles that presumably made someone who's running a VC fund successful in business. Don't change that. Don't abdicate your responsibilities just because of AI. Does that
Well
make
said.
sense?
Very well said. Yes, 100%. Yep. Yeah, going back to that attorney, I think that made him world famous for all the wrong reasons.
I think the correct term is actually world infamous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. So the next 3 to 5 years, you mentioned the company that you're investing in, that's Vector Search to Vector Search. Remind me again of the name of that company?
It's presearch.com.
Research. Okay. And that's going to hopefully be a huge one here in the next 3 to 5 years. Do you see anything else?
Fingers.
Yep. Anything else in your crystal ball coming down the pike in the next 3 to 5 years as an opportunity in AI?
Oh my God. I think it's actually easier to list companies that won't be beneficially affected by AI. You've got manufacturers, data centers, the guys running, developing generative AI themselves, or AGI, artificial generative intelligence, or general intelligence. They're and those companies are going nuts, right? We all know who they are. That phase. They'll still grow. They'll still grow they'll still be good investments. But the 50-100x for those companies is by definition behind us. So the real question is downstream: who's going to be most effective? And there it becomes much more a stock picker's market again, because the question most people are asking themselves is the wrong one. They say, okay, look, is this company going to be helped here? Or even is this industry going to be helped here by AI? If everybody is helped equally, the valuations and the outperformance are not going to improve, right? So if you've got a sector, take one that people aren't talking, let's talk about book publishing, right? Where AI can write books and AI can do all this other stuff. Well, which book publisher are you going to invest in, or which publisher are you going to, buy his tokenized personal income from? And you say, this guy's going to be good, let me buy him. That's not the question. The question is, relative to the other people in that sector, relative to other publishing houses, relative to other authors, who's going to succeed the most? And that's a much, much tougher question, right? If you
Right.
figure, okay, every automobile manufacturer is going to benefit from AI, so I'm going to put money in all these automobile manufacturers. Wrong question, really bad answer, because they're all going to get more efficient. If you from a long way away, equally, they're all going to be more efficient, and relative to one another, they're not going to take market share. So the question isn't what sectors are going to benefit from AI, because effectively they all are in one way or another, right? Everybody's running accounting software. Hey, welcome to my world. You're not going to start investing in everybody because their accounting is going to get better. So what you need to do is find not sectors. Start at that level, figure out what sector is going to benefit, but then look at companies within the sector that in general can innovate and will be the ones who take best advantage of AI. And then you get one of my all-time favorite aphorisms, which is execution is everything. AI means that things are going to change faster, things are going to evolve faster. As a general rule, companies that have been around for many, many, many years don't evolve very quickly. My favorite example of that, the one that, it's actually now getting a little bit old, but it's Polaroid in digital photography. Polaroid had more years with the most patents of any single company in the world issued. It also had the highest percentage of PhDs on its staff for decades of any company, in any reasonably sized company in the world. They got blindsided and run over, totally destroyed by the digital photography train.
Right.
All these bright people, all this stuff, they were still unable to see what was coming because it just made so much sense. Now Polaroid's a patent company. And so what you need are innovative companies who can innovate well. Whether it's innovating in AI actually is a secondary question. You need companies who can innovate, who can incorporate change, who can adapt very quickly. In short, who can execute. Give them AI, they will do much more than the company next to them that just in general doesn't execute as much. So you're really looking almost for an attitude for technology rather than the technology itself. Does that make sense, Collin?
Yes, very well said. Very well said. I think you're right. I think everybody's looking to get there, but might not be looking at it strategically and at the human resource level as well, and how they can innovate. They just want to put that on the shoulders of the next AI tool. And if everybody's doing that at the same time, there's going to be a lot of losers.
Exactly. Exactly. And even so much, not a lot of losers, but a lot of people who aren't going to distinguish themselves from everybody else out there.
Yep.
The one other thing I
Yep.
will add to that that's sort of interesting is the world is built on a pyramid from a personnel standpoint. A lot of people entry level, fewer, and you have one CEO at the top. And it's pretty much graduated. One of the things that AI creates is it chops off a lot of the two sides, the bottom sides of the pyramid, because at the entry level, in many cases, not in all cases, in many cases, those are the jobs that are most easily replaced by AI. But if you're not putting in 1,000 people at the bottom to get one CEO 20 years from now, if you're only putting 100 people in at the bottom, you're actually not going to be able to fulfill the mid-level and the higher level positions because you don't have enough trained people to choose from. That's a future problem, but a lot of people are discussing it now. And I think when you look at businesses, and particularly if you're looking at a longer term investment, how are they going to survive? Where are they going to get the people from if they're replacing a massive percentage of entry level and even lower mid level positions, or even higher in some cases, with AI. Great that they're doing that, but where are they going to get their future leaders if only 1 out of 1,000 people can make it, and suddenly you only have 100 people going in? Are those 100 people really 10 times better than the other 1,000? I doubt it. That means you have a smaller talent pool to pick from. And in terms of perennity, in terms of long-term leadership and long-term success, there's a problem out there. I mean, the world hasn't really even grasped that problem. And maybe I'm overstating it, maybe not. But if you have a lot fewer entry-level positions, not everybody's born to be a middle manager. So there are some personnel impact of AI that I think the world hasn't even begun wrestling.
Well said. Well said. Yeah. Well, Tim, I appreciate your insights. That's about all
Pleasure.
of the interview questions that I had. As we close, I just want to tell our audience, if you have questions as far as adopting AI and having a disciplined approach in doing so, this would be definitely the podcast episode to listen to. Tim, thank you again for joining us and for your time. And I appreciate all of it and look forward to the next conversation.
My great pleasure, Collin. Thank you very much.